Is there a point, because I've heard a conversation about at some point, niggas need to just, like give it up. This is a young man's thing. Give it up and start doing other shit. Like he started record companies, start putting out younger artists or go into different things. But at some point, I forgot who the fuck I was listening to that said that. There was like, nobody want to hear Will Smith make a new record or nothing like that. Will Smith should be putting out artists and putting out, different things. And maybe not him specifically, but just older artists, period.
I was gonna say hip-hop is the only genre where people think that way. You know what I'm saying? If you look at R&B, any other music genre, those artists get as old as forever. Like B.B. King, and they'll sing until they're 111 and drop dead. Nobody has a problem with that. When it comes to hip hop, oh, you too old to be doing. That's why my quote is always, you don't stop rocking because you get old. You get old because you stopped rocking. As long as you keep rocking, keep doing. Hip hop isn't old enough to say how old it is for you to quit yet. You know what I mean? It don't even make sense to me. You do what you do till you stop doing it. Damn it.
Basically. Tell them why you mad. Tell them why you mad.
Because somebody said that to me one time. Because my kids one time said, Pop, you 61 now. When are you going to? I'm like, yo, I'm never going to stop doing this. This is me.
Sit on the porch.
You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to stop doing this. This is our culture. This is our. How you going to stop your culture because we too old?
I think people forget that this is a culture. Like even if you don't MC or DJ, you still hip hop.
Yeah.
Like you got a certain
The way you live.
For example, when I was dumb young and I'm looking at my older brothers, I was like, yo, I really don't want to get that old. Like you know what I'm saying? Because their version of being 40 or even being 30, when I was like 16 and coming to 20, their version of being 30 and 40 was whack to me. Like these niggas was wearing slacks and V-neck
Sweaters
vests.
and shit.
Like,
Cardigans.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that shit like, oh, that shit is horrible. Because they wasn't of the hip-hop culture. You know what I'm saying? But we came up and we still look cool. Or, I think there's a fine line
I think
there's a fine line of when niggas get old and they try to wear too much young shit. They try to be too young, and I think that kind of looks a little offbeat. But if you still rocking and you still look presentable and you still got your style, because hip hop is more than just MCing or DJing. You know what I'm saying? The way we walk, the way we drive. You know what I'm saying? Our style, our talk, the way we make love. Everything is hip hop. We got a rhythm to us now.
Yeah.
Where when we was coming up, they wasn't rocking to the hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? So I think as far as niggas getting old, I do think if you're not being good at what you're trying to do, and you get to a certain age, then I think you need to find another. You need to jump into another lane.
That's what.
But if you're of marquee status, if you're doing good things in the hip hop culture, I don't think there's an age cutoff.
I think the market will tell you, right? I think the market will tell you. I think you should be able to do it as long as you are, because music is an expression given to people, right? Like you're giving that to people, or whatever the case may be. As long as the people are receptive to what you're giving, you should do it. When the people aren't receptive to what you have to offer anymore, I think that's when your time is up, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I want to disagree a little bit,
okay,
just a little bit, on the fact of there's always. I'm not gonna say there's always. If you're doing a good thing, it's just like us right now, our basic age group. We could all say right here, we still love to see Kane do that thing. We still love to see Rod do that thing. But if you ask a younger generation, that younger generation might be like, yo, these niggas is old. So just because the majority of them niggas say that they shouldn't be doing it, would you say Kane should stop? Would you say Rakim should stop? If the majority, which is younger, they're the ones that are mostly streaming, they're the one that's mostly buying, so they're the majority. So if they say that they don't want to hear Kane and Rakim, would you say Kane and Rakim need to stop?
What I would say is, again,
Because that's the market.
I think Kane's market and Rakim's market is what it is. It may not be Young Yachty's market. Right, like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know that Rakim is trying to get Young Yachty's market. I think
That's not the question.
it is the question, because what I'm saying to you is if Rakim had no one who wanted to hear from him, that's when I would think that it would be time for him to stop. As long as I went to a Rakim show, it's filled up.
No, I get what you're saying, but the way you said your answer, you said like if the market, being the majority, is not feeling you, then you should stop. That's the way you kind of put it.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that there's.
I think artists have their market.
Go ahead, Mike. Right. You've been trying to get in.
Yeah, because when you do your hip hop, when you rhyme or whatever, you basically, although you writing it, you want people to hear it, you basically doing it for you. I do what I do for me. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to stop, and I don't feel you should get to a certain age and stop because you too old for hip hop. You should never be too old for hip hop. Isn't too old for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop ain't even that old yet for somebody to say, well, I'm too old for it. You know what I'm saying? We're the only genre of music that people even discuss that. Like, are you too old for it? I've never heard of any other genre, any artist being too old for anything. Why does it have to come down to just hip hop where you should be old for it? You're not too old for acting, you're not too old for country, you're not too old for R&B, you're not too old for anything else. But when it comes to hip hop, man, you too old to be doing that. No, you're not. No, you're not. Yeah. Look at the artists now or MCs now who are older but are better than the young ones. Look at Caz. Who in these young groups can mess with Caz? You know what I'm saying? Who can mess with Mo? Who can mess with Mel? And these young cats. Now, I'm not saying they're not good. They're excellent. But it's the same thing when it comes to our music. When our parents, we don't want to hear our parents' music. We did to a certain point, but some of it got too old. We did to a certain point, but some of it got too old, and our parents will look at our music as, well, that's too young. I don't want to hear that. And we look at the youngest the same way. It's going to always revolve around that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel that way.
No, you're not wrong, because it's not a right or wrong. It's your opinion. I think that every generation has its music. And whatever age you are at that, when you're at that an impressionable age, when you start to be able to appreciate music and take it in, then that's the music that hits your soul. And that's the music that stays with you forever. You know what I mean? So no matter how old you get, you're always going to have appreciation for that music and that music first. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're into music and become a performer, artist, or whatever, I agree with you, Mike. We don't do this shit for other people. We do this shit for ourselves. We do it for what we get out of it. We do it for the satisfaction of seeing those words on that page and making them shits come to life. And the feeling that it gives us when people appreciate it. If there was nobody to appreciate it, we would still do it. We would still do it. I would still write rhymes just because I'd like to see a dope rhyme that I wrote. You understand what I'm saying? So the motivation is always going to be there if you real with the shit. You know what I mean? If you really like writing, if you like the art of putting words together and saying something in a way that nobody's ever said it before or something, then that shit is a skill and it's going to be in you and it's a passion and it's always going to stay with you. Well, how fucking old do you have to be to give that up? Mm-hmm. Never. Do you have to keep putting out records or trying to sell your thoughts and your skill to other people? No, you don't have to do that. I think at a certain point, other people's opinions of you and attention towards you start to dwindle because other things come into play. But you never lose regard or respect for yourself, do you? You never say to yourself, yo, I think I'm too old to be doing this. No, that shit come from other people's perception. So for me, I don't think you're never too old to do it. But I think you have to also not expect people to accept that you're still doing it or to appreciate you the same way. You know what I mean? Because of their limited view of how old people should be doing a particular thing.
I think
I mean, that's just my take on it.
I think that we are closer to saying the same thing than we are separate. I think what I said was that when I said the market, right? When I say the market, I think you can take it from a narrow scope and say the market of sales or whatever the case may be. What I was talking about was the fact that people would be receptive to it. So just like you said, the fact that if people weren't receptive to your rhymes and you said, well, they're not receptive to my rhymes anymore, but I'm still going to write them, right? There's a difference between, okay, I'm going to write my rhymes and I'm going to have them for me, and I'm going to be out here trying to whether get deals or sell venues or do stuff like that. I think that's the case. I went to a Patti LaBelle concert. She got the backup singers actually singing the songs. So it's not that other genres don't have to retire. You do. There's a time that you physically can't do it anymore. You know?
And that's when you stop.
And that's when you
physically
stop.
can't do
But
it
not
anymore.
because there's a
somebody
certain amount of
said
people
that.
who feel like you too old to be doing it.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? That's
So
just
you were
a
talking. Your
perception.
question was more about people making you stop, as opposed to you just having to stop.
It's about the basically the public perception that at some point you're too old to do it. You know what I mean? You should pass it on, pass the baton, you know what I mean, on to the next generation or whatever, or, you know, drift off into the sunset, you know what I mean, and do other things. That was the thing I was trying to ask. Do people agree with that or feel like, hey, you could do this shit forever? Can you do it publicly, commercially? Are you marketable? Still, maybe not. But as a passion and culturally, you can always do what you do. You can always hone your craft. You know what I mean?